Hello, everyone. This is Ben Dunn, founder of Antarctic Press, a comic book company established in 1985 and creator of such comics as Warrior Nun, Ninja High School, Marvel Mangaverse, and a host of other comic books. Um, Sorry I haven't been posting a lot lately. I been pretty busy with the move, and I went to a little show called the Dallas Comic Show over the weekend, which I had a great time. I met Sam Jones, who played Flash Gordon, and I met Red Brown, who played the TV version of Captain America, and Your Hunter for the Future, which is a comic book that the Antarctic Press is also publishing, at the same time. So, it was also great to meet fans and readers of Antarctic Press comics. It's always a wonderful thing to go to a local show and meet your fellow comic book collectors, and fans of Antarctic Press, and such like that, doing commissions, selling original artwork, and showing to me how important it is to still connect with people. It's a lot is being said about comics being in the digital domain, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's the way you want to read comics, that's great. I encourage more people to read comics regardless. And if you can monetize that into a revenue stream, then that's fantastic too. You should continue to do that as well. Now, what struck me as at this particular show was that I was there early on Sunday, and I was waiting for the show to open so that I could do some commissions that previously I hadn't finished the night before, and all my drawing stuff was still locked up in the show. So I was always waiting for it to open. Another fellow comic book creator came by and said hello. I won't say his name, because I don't want to, you know, expose him in any way. But he was a very nice guy, and we knew each other professionally, and we talked about his situation. Now he is a very talented artist. He had done stuff for IDW. He's done stuff for Marvel. He's done stuff for some of the big comic book companies, and he's incredibly talented. And but he was talking about how difficult it's been to get new work in the current environment of the comic book industry. It's and we talked about how difficult it is for comic book creators, especially here in the United States, to get new work because the options have changed dramatically over the decades. Now, it used to be comic book companies would usually hire, um, people from the United States here in the United States. Now, that's not to say they didn't, you know, started branching out into other countries to get their talent. I mean, there was quite a few. There was a time during the 70s and 80s where Filipino artists were being hired to do a lot of comic book work. But it was always difficult to connect with creators from other countries because we didn't have the internet. They had to physically mail artwork. It was a tedious task because there was always the language barrier, and things like that. So it was highly it was highly improbable that a comic book company would hire someone from overseas. Now that has changed. The fact of the matter is now comic book publishers have a plethora of options now. They can go to practically any country in the world and hire creators who will work at a fraction of the price of a homegrown comic book creator. So where does that leave the homegrown comic creators? There's certainly something to be said about if you're a super talent, you're in that upper echelon of creators where your work is always in demand and you can command extremely high prices for your talent. But for a lot of the other creators who are trying to make a living, who are not in that upper tier of comic book creators, it can be a task and very, very difficult to try to find new work, in especially in this environment where a lot of publishers now have the option of going to places where creators will work at a fraction of the price. Now, you know, the prices that they can pay a lot of these creators, you may not do well here in the United States, but it can do well. You can have a very good living, in the country that the artist is residing in. So it can be detrimental to homegrown, creators here in the United States. So I was talking to him about that, and he was telling me that a lot of his work is drying up because there's just, he's competing with so many other creators who will vie for the same job. Now, certainly he is very talented. There's no question about it, and his work probably is worth every penny that a publisher would hire him to do, but the publisher itself is the one trying to maximize, profitability. And the only way to do that is to bring down costs, while trying to increase profits. And one of the major costs of creating a comic book is the talent. There's no question about that. Talent is a huge majority of the cost. Now, he told me that he's been following me, and he knew about many of my crowdfunding projects that I had done. I told him, it's fine to work for a comic book company. You can usually rely on a steady paycheck, and you get to work on IPs that are, very well known. But in the end, you don't own anything. The only thing you own is the original artwork, and that's even, questionable at that. Then the thing about it is that, you can spend a lot of your time and talent, on working on somebody else's work, and that's fine if that's what you want to do, But in the end, what do you really own? And I told him, what you really should do, and this is advice I would give any creator out there, is you need to create something that you can control, you can own, you can exploit, that you can pass on to your heirs if that's what you choose to do, and that's what I told him. He said that, I asked him, have you done any crowdfunding? He says no, he hadn't done any crowdfunding, and I said, well, crowdfunding is a tricky beast, because when you're a creator and you're working for another company, as far as you don't have to do anything, you have to say draw. That's it. They're hiring you to draw. That's all you have to do. It's all you have to worry about. Meet your deadlines, you do quality work, and that's all you have to do. And you get a paycheck. That's fine, and that's what you want to do. But it's becoming increasingly more difficult for a lot of creators to achieve that. And because comic books have not been in a healthy place right now because of many factors, including the economy, including what happened a couple of years ago during the shutdown, and many other factors that have played in the I won't say the shrinking of the comic book industry. We should be a healthy industry, really. I mean, I think that is something that we can easily achieve if we all work together and find ways to get, comic books out there into the reading public. Because I know that people will read comics if they can get them. The problem is we can't get comics into the hands of people who want to read them. We have to make it accessible. We have to make it affordable. Then that's the thing about comics. The comics have always been disposable entertainment, and that's the way it should be. You can always do the upscale version by doing trade paperbacks and get them into bookstores and stuff like that. But in order to hook them, you need to create something that people will want to read. That's what newspaper comic strips used to do all the time. You were able to read the comic strip in a newspaper, and then if you really liked it, you would buy the collection later, and that's where the big money was anyway. But anyway, I told him that if you were to do crowdfunding, you have to be expected to play the role of the publisher, because you're no longer expected just to do the comic itself. You have to go ahead and think about things like shipping and printing, and things like fulfillment, things like that. And that sometimes those are roles that many creators just are not suited for. I mean, let's face it. A lot of creators don't want to take on that role of being all those things, because if they were wanting to be a publisher, then that's what they would have started off being, as a publisher. But sometimes circumstances force things into being, and I told him that if you really want to make a name for yourself, in this competitive environment, you need to create something that people will resonate with people. And he showed me some of the stuff he wanted to do, and it looked really had a lot of potential. So I would encourage any creator out there who really wants to find some sort of, I'm not going to guarantee that you're going to get financial success, but if you have the talent and you have the ability to do it, you should focus on creating your own IPs, because that's really where you can take command of your own destiny and your own life. Because if you don't own what you create, then what are you really doing? You're just a journeyman, just like anything. You're just hired to do a job, and then you move on to the next job. And that's why I think that overall, in the end, it's imperative that anybody with any type of significant talent to create something of their own. But anyway, that's a little advice I gave him, and he seemed encouraged by that. So hopefully he'll be able to take that to heart and actually start doing something that he can monetize in the future. So just a little bit of advice. I'm just an old man shouting at clouds, so you take it for what it's worth. But until next time, this has been Dunn signing off.